Hi everyone and welcome to our latest video, and today it's all about the portfolio reviews and the image reviews. So a big thank you to everyone who submitted. The work is amazing. I was blown away, really amazing. And I'd like to introduce to you today Pete from our team, who's going to be here bouncing some ideas off, and so you don't always hear the same voice. So yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Pete.
Sure. So as Pedro mentioned, my name's Pete. I've been in the art business for about 10, 11 years now, working at various places, both permanent and freelance. And about 3 years ago, I met Pedro doing some freelance work, and have been working with Arcanine and Pedro for the last 18 months or so, making things look pretty.
Changing your life, yeah? It's been amazing to have Pete on board, and I think like everyone here, it's incredible that just, you know, these videos especially, they come together with a team, and it's really a team effort when you're making images, when you're doing what we're doing. And so it's a great thing to have Pete here as well, speaking about the images. So let's get to this and talk about the image. So our first image is from Pietro Grignani. I hope I've pronounced that correctly, from Italy. And he's basically, his email was quite to the point, was basically, tell me what I can do better. So next time, it is good to give us a bit of background, what you want to do with the image, and select 3 or 4 so we can get to know the artist.
Okay, so generally I think this image looks great. I think it's a great start. I really like this. I really like this green, and the colour really, the green, the blue, the yellow, I think work really well together. I think that's really nice. The main thing for me is when I squint at it, all I see is this big white triangle which leads my eye straight out. And similarly with the road, both are big chunks of sort of grey and white, and they're just leading my eye straight out, which isn't great really. I don't know.
Yeah,
would you agree?
I quite agree. Again, it's a lovely picture, and that's why we chose it. And there's a lot of potential in this. Colors are beautiful. There's a really nice mood. But yeah, just as Pete said, the composition is tricky in this one, just because you have all these leading elements outside. And this, we talked about this in the beginning, which was like, this is just off center, the composition, right? So it's a tricky one with central pieces, because what you want to do, especially in this one, is bring your eye in. You don't want to bring the eye out. And we have that a little bit from the left, but when we start to get in the half of this, we start to have the eye going out. And again, it's either central or quite off center. So the center, I think, is about here, to be honest. I'm looking from the side, but it's about here. And this is just off center. So it's either really off center here, that edge, or completely on center. And that's how you make an expression. What else do you think, Pete?
I think I like the story he's got going with the people. I think they're really nice. The scale, not quite sure, because you've got this building. We don't know the scale of this building, so it feels like
monumental.
It does. So we're not quite sure. It feels like there should be like people that sort of height, maybe a little bigger, but we're not quite sure about the scale. But again, I like the story, but not quite sure if the people are off.
Yeah, definitely. And that actually brings us to the next thing, right? Which is, there's a couple of elements that throw us off. So it's the people and also how the puddles react. The puddles seems like quite a bit of a mass at the moment. And it would probably be nicer to just break these up into smaller puddles, or not have such an expression. And I know you mentioned something about the water as well. Yeah,
I think, again, it's a really nice idea, and we do it with our images as well. It just adds something to the overall image, tells a bit more of a story. But with the water moves. It's got movement. It needs, and whatever's reflected in it should have a bit of, ripples or distortion.
Movement,
yeah, exactly, movement. And I think that would, having that in this would definitely help it. And also having some reflection, a puddle these guys could stand in just to help. Yeah. That would be quite nice to see their reflection in a puddle as well.
Definitely. I think also one of the things, we haven't talked about this yet actually, but I think that this image, really the bottom half is not saying much. Yeah. It's almost like you could just crop it there and the image would probably be working a bit better.
Yeah.
Again, these are very general comments that we're having here. So they're basically the main elements. So they're the bulk of the image. They're what makes the image. Of course, we know there are details and maybe the curb that we could add in there, and we could detail up, we could improve on textures. But we're really talking about the bulk. And if you get that, if you get those first elements right,
It's the big elements, isn't it? It's
exactly, the details come after it, right?
Exactly,
So
yeah.
you're looking at it from a very kind of journalistic outside aspect of where you're looking at it as a thumbnail. And then when you get in there, it's all about just, that's really about practice and kind of getting your eye around it. I don't have much more to say about it. Do you, Pete?
The only thing I could suggest is maybe having, just because I know you've cropped it now and it's taken away some of that foreground, which helps, but maybe just a shadow or something in the foreground, which would be quite, just to stop your eye falling out of the bottom.
Totally agree. And that pushes your eye in.
Yeah, and pushes your eye into the image a bit more, so you kind of blocks it. I mean, just something there maybe.
Yeah,
which would help to stop your eye.
Small compositional elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think from our first take on it, that's what we're looking at, and those are the first things that come to our eyes. The next stage we're going to do is basically a paint over. So we're going to paint this over, and it will be a bit easier to show you basically what we're thinking and what we just talked about, these elements. And that will really kind of help you guys to understand composition, mood, color, and all these other things. So yeah, let's get to it. So we're basically going to start this paint over, and it's already it's already been painted over, and we thought it could be really interesting to kind of interconnect the paint over with our ideas and bring up references on screen as we go along. It is easier to follow. So let's get started and let's just kick this off. So yeah, one of the first things we talked about was composition-wise, right? You remember that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Central composition. I mean, again, if you're going for a central composition, you really have to kind of balance things out, and really Paradise Gopher is one of the ones that comes to mind when we did it, just by how central it is. We've done a couple others, I think, that really have that central element, but again, just the way that you bounce things off each other is really important. We thought this one wasn't working as a central composition, so we started to look into basically, you know, deconstructing it, getting rid of that road, looking at vignettes, and adding those elements like that, those variations, especially in those background and midground mountains. So it didn't condense so much, and it didn't have such a repetitive pattern. So this kind of adds to reality, right? If you look at reality, it's really kind of varied. And if you guys, again, this image, we mentioned that. You remember the colors? We talked a lot about the colors. It really kind of brings up the Albert, I'm lacking the name, but it's basically one of the Hudson River School painters. And as you can see, it's all these repetitive elements like the trees and the variation of the mountains and the sky that come together and really make it beautiful. And that's something we tried to kind of add into this. It had everything already, so we just wanted to kind of amplify it. We've got that shadow there that you mentioned.
Yeah, that just helps kind of sort of anchor the image as well. It doesn't, before your eye was kind of falling off the bottom of the page or flying out of the page, and now, yeah, and just it helps anchor it. And also, you know, with the tree in the left-hand corner, it just stops your eye and just focus it back onto this, you know, into the image, which you know, really helps, and it's what you want your eye to do in an image. Yeah,
exactly. You want to kind of focus on the main things, right? You see that the puddle that we talked about, again, the puddle, it's been painted over, but it did get completely painted over because it still didn't work at the moment. We thought it was way too strong. Again, we're just painting over. Like, these are basic techniques that you can look at from our previous videos, so you can really understand. One of the ones, matte painting in ArchViz, comes to mind, which is great. Adding depth and skies in post-production is also really great. So there's a lot of techniques, and as you see, completely painted over, eliminated. Let's see how it works. And already that, I mean, you could agree that had a better flow, right?
Absolutely.
If you squint your eyes, you've got a nice sky, you've got defined elements, you've got the monumental aspect. Again, that Corbusier image comes to mind which really kind of shows the form. And this one doesn't have people, but we can see the balconies that adds the scale to it.
Also, the main thing now is that we haven't got these big triangles that are leading us out of the image. You know, that was the main thing before.
Yeah, we've broken up that form,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So this again could be done by adding by changing the camera. I mean, sometimes you have a design, right, and you gotta maintain the design, but it's also good sometimes to separate out that design. And separate out that camera and really try and capture the design from a different point of view. You'll see like switching back and forth between the original and what we have. Again, these tones of blues, we talked a little bit about colors, right? The colors, I mean, previous videos even, you know, just how the colors, the color harmonies work. And I think this was like split complementary where we have those greens, yellows, and we even get a little bit in there of those blues, and it really works really well.
No,
I think.
Yeah.
I think it kind of even reminds me of that image we did for Oz Architects a little bit, which kind of has this type of, but more accentuated, of course, feel to it.
I think also adding some drama to the sky, which I think, you know, as you're doing now, really helps give it a bit more visual interest.
Yeah, again, it's...
Because it was before, sorry Pedro, but before it was quite, I think the sky, we didn't talk about the sky, but it was quite flat, didn't really have a lot going on.
Yeah.
And just introducing a bit more moodiness to it, which can help, which we've done in the past, which it just, again, adds drama to the image.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that again, just touching on that Hudson River School, that is really the way to go with the drama, right? It's incredible. A couple more images that I found that could relate really quickly to this one. We have this one from Emmanuel Shui, and basically you've got this beautiful leading of the eye, right? You've got these elements on the side that really build into this centerpiece, and I think it works really well. And for color, again, we didn't talk about this in the beginning, but I found this one, and it kind of has a really similar palette that I think could work quite well.
Yeah, it's really nice. Also, going back to that previous image, this has got a wet floor again, similar to the image, and it just shows you know, that reflection in the ground is
kind of blurred out.
It's blurred out. It's got a bit of distortion, and you know, it's a really nice feature to have.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's funny you touch on that, because once we also add in a little bit of that reflection, it just looks really nice. But again, materials have Fresnel, right? Fresnel is basically the way they reflect. I don't want to go too technical into it, but basically everything reflects in some form or another, right? And just adding that doesn't mean that it's wet, but also gives a little bit of composition and reflection. So this could be a very reflective floor for all we know. Yeah. Or we can just build in those puddles slowly. We've got this kind of rainy, atmospheric, it's almost like a Turner type painting without the skill. But it's got this kind of look and feel to it, very much similar to it. So as you can see, this is basically what we come up with. It's not perfect, it's just an overpaint, but it gives you an idea of how forms can start reacting. I still think, to be honest, like the girls are a bit too big in this one, and the people on the right, they're a bit too big now that I'm looking at it a second time. Again, thanks to Pete for coming in on this one. I think it made it a lot more fun as well for me.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a pleasure.
Great. I think it's got this really cool vibe to it, and as well, the skies really helped it. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'd like to thank Pete for stepping in on this one. It's been awesome having someone else to also bounce ideas off. And I hope that has helped you, Pietro. I really think that all the techniques are very simple. It's just a case of shuffling around a few things. Colors are spot on. Really nice story. So it's just a case of practice. We've reached the conclusion of our video. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun reviewing the work. It's been also really interesting seeing what you guys are creating. I hope you guys keep submitting. Don't forget 3-4 images and a little bit of a description on the image and what you'd like us to review. That's also really important. I'd like to thank Pete over there for tuning in, for helping us out. And I'd like to thank all the team here at Archi9 because this has been a lot of fun to do this. And hopefully the next ones that are coming are going to be as fun. We're also going to do a couple of 3D tutorials, very simplified, which also will relate quite well to the 2D part of it. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, comment, all these other things everywhere. And don't forget, guys, do it in post.
That's how you do it, guys. That's how you do it.
I applied just for a while.
It's beautiful. That's how. So thank you. Please
like
subscribe, like.
Yeah, we're shoulder on shoulder. The weather's pretty bad outside, but this makes no logic saying this.
I'm first to do that.
No, okay, Kelly's the boss.
Get on with the body beat.
All right, check us out in the next videos. Check us in the previous videos.